The quest for the Sheilas was beckoning us again, so we got in the car and drove just over an hour to the county of Herefordshire, the county where I grew up, a county that has my heart, and we found ourselves here at Kilpeck Church, the most beautiful setting with a glorious February morning sun. This place I'd visited when I was 17 on my own, newly driving with an art sketchbook in hand. I remember arriving as a 17-year-old and being embarrassed at the number of people at the church and scuttling away quickly without really looking. I can remember soldiers on a doorway, and that's all. And there it is. There's the doorway and there are the soldiers. What a place. I don't remember it being this magical or the carving quite so intricate. Look at it, and there is the soldier that I sketched. Look at this. This place is truly magical. But where was the sheela-na-gig? We searched the doorway and couldn't find it, so we wandered around the church looking at the gargoyles up near the roof. And then, with a giggle and a laugh, my friend made me realise she was there, right there. A sheela-na-gig, one of the best preserved ones in the whole of England. There she was in an active display, striking even in the company of these strange gargoyles she kept. And she reminded me so much of the card that had inspired this entire quest. Was that card drawn from this sheela-na-gig? I think it probably was. And look at the company she kept and where she keeps it. This is Herefordshire. This is the county of my childhood, where I grew up. The whole drive here was literally a drive down memory lane. I had feelings of both joy to be back here because I loved this county, but also sadness of a life long gone, a life where my dad acted as a dam against abuse and cruelty, where I felt like I belonged to a family. I looked at the gargoyles and all of these emotions were swimming through me. Family, childhood, nostalgia, memory, it was all there, tied up in knots as much as the Celtic knots on the stonework. And there were synchronicities here, water like at the last church, this time a still pond with trees overhanging it just off the graveyard. And we carried on through the graveyard. Would there be something else to see, like at the last church too? And then we saw it, a castle on a hill beyond the graveyard. These medieval churches that house the sheela-na-gigs literally feel like portals back into another time, another world. We couldn't believe our eyes yet again. The stile stopped play with greyhounds, so we wandered back down to the church, wondering if there was a way to get through to a surprise castle on a hill. I could almost see my 17-year-old self trying to take up less space, trying to hide from the people watching, trying to pretend not to be drawing, always so keen to be smaller, quieter, unseen, apologising for any space I took up. Yeah, this was a memory of my childhood too. This church was doing a number on me when it came to nostalgia and memories. So we wandered back out of the church and we saw a gate with a footpath beyond. There was a way to get to the castle. Kilpeck Castle. Who knew? Right next to the church. Through the gateway we immediately found ourselves in a series of earthworks, moats dug in series around the castle, boundaries in battle, protection, safe homes. Goodness me, The synchronicity of the themes with thinking about my childhood did not escape me. As we walked in the moat that would have once defended a home, we decided to climb up together, and at the top we found Kilpeck Castle. Stone walls remaining strong, speaking of strength, speaking of endurance, speaking of overcoming, remaining safe, hanging on, strength imbued in the very stone itself, overlooking Kilpeck Church with the sheela-na-gig on the wall. This place was astounding. As I stood up here, I knew that these castle walls were forming part of the message of this sheela-na-gig. I knew it was all linked. This stone on top of the hill had a message for me. I stood here with my dogs and their unconditional love, with my best friend, a sister to me, a chosen sister, my newfound family, kind and loving and a safe place. Even a rainbow appeared over the church as I stood thinking this. It was incredible. So, memories of childhood, of families that once were and are no longer, of chosen families, of enduring heartache, of strength, of building boundaries and defences, but then moving on into the sunshine. It was all here in the landscape. Not only in the actual landscape before me, but also in the landscape of my memory and my thoughts and my heart. It was all combining into one very clear voice. So we continued to walk in the castle grounds, what I think probably would have been the outer moats, and it really did feel like stepping back in time, just as at the mill at the last church we visited. This again felt like living, breathing history. We could sense the lives lived, the lives defended here, the boundaries made, the safety claimed. It really was an amazing place with such incredible energy. We just loved every twist and turn, another pathway into the past, and to feel and absorb the history within the very ground itself. Then we turned back past horses, down a sunny path towards the church again, taking a moment to soak in the distant views of the castle. What a really amazing place. But now we wanted to revisit the church, to go inside, to sit again with the sheela and to get the tarot cards out and to find the message that she had for us today. Inside the church there were yet more carvings and beautiful flagstones, old brick. Really amazing inside the church too. Now these figures also were familiar to me. I am sure I have drawn some of these figures. They made me smile. Memory forgotten, but still there somewhere in the depths of my mind. They were definitely familiar enough to have been drawn. But the church itself was really gorgeous. Simplicity against all the carving. A rickety old wooden staircase up to a gallery that looked like it had seen better days. What an incredible place. Back down the stairs, I decided to go outside and have another look at all the carvings, the amazing door, the gargoyles, the sheela, to soak it all in. My friend called me back though and said, look at this. The church guidebook laid out for display had been scribbled in. Somebody furious that the sheela-na-gig had been described in the manner she had. It just goes to show how much disagreement and contention there is around these sheela-na-gigs. I'll do another video another day about what I thought about the guidebook and its additions. But for now, I just wanted to soak in these carvings and, of course, the sheela-na-gig in such incredible company. These carvings really amazing as Christian iconography. There were pigs and boars and a puppy and a rabbit, strange creatures that were just demonic, some of them. Was that a knight's horse? I could see the Knights Templar perhaps. Soldiers, embracing figures. It was all up here. Some faces in different expressions, possibly warning of hell damnation for sinning. This Christian iconography of a bygone era, of which the sheela-na-gig is very much a part of. However, in contrast, the sheela is a bridge to a past. And I think that's why the book was scribbled on in anger. But I really now wanted to know what message today's sheela-na-gig at Kilpeck Church would have for me. So I searched out a far corner of the church grounds by this old gate and a new bench, and I set up my travel altar to do a reading with the Dark Goddess Tarot, the tarot deck that had started it all. Would my cards also have a message of strength and endurance, of standing strong like the castle on the hill had spoken to me? So I shuffled, and the first card I pulled, the guidebook said, be wild and be whole, to keep healing, to stand in white feathers. The white feathers are Bridget, and it was the strength card. It would seem that message of strength was being spoken by the cards too, to remember your healing and to not be lured away from it, to hold on to your values and to stand strong. Then I asked what's important for me to realise, and I pulled the Hag of Earth. Remember history or more will be lost. Is this card literally a stone chief on a hilltop? This was the castle walls with a message of endurance to heal, to endure and to stay strong like stone. And finally, the Crow Mother, a message of how to heal, a message of dropping childish fancies, stepping away from childhood and embracing the discipline required to escape the hard places we get stuck. This, a nostalgia card with a sting of black feathers, strength, a stone on a hill, endurance, stepping away from childish fancies. It was all here in the cards too. And as a cat joined us, there was one last thing to do, to leave a stone offering that I'd brought with me for the sheela. The witch on the wall, overlooked by a castle. The strength of stone was today's message on our quest to a Kilpeck.